Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 219, Clairvoyance. This is Grumbean's version of it. It's more interesting than some of the others. I do have one other edition of a work that's simply titled Clairvoyance, totally different book, that I will be releasing. That's, in the works actually right now. Link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books blogs. Now this particular work comes from a person who's both a spiritualist and Rosicrucian, and it's the Order of the White Rose actually that he was associated with. I'm not sure if it's still extant, because I think he may have been the only significant member thereof, and this is basically for students of that particular order, this particular work on clairvoyance. And it talks about much of the normal stuff for the era. We're talking the end of the 19th, early 20th century. That's a period in which science especially is informing spirituality. So there's a whole section here on magnetism and electricity and stuff as it may be spiritually thought of. It talks about, the atom and things like that. Those were considered to be spiritually significant by occultists of the era. And in fact, in a way, still is. It's just that people, as science progresses, the cutting edge of it that's more mysterious and therefore gets talked about more tends to morph, but people still say basically the same thing. A lot of this is philosophical. It's more about mindfulness, sort of looking at the structure of the universe, thinking deeply about spiritual matters. It's more philosophical, but there are a series of experiments. It's broken down into lessons, each containing an experiment, which is related to things like clairvoyance in the more mental sense. It's not just like telepathy, although it does talk about that. It's not just like the ability of astral projection, although it alludes to basically a fundamentally similar phenomena. It talks about literally everything related to what we would now loosely term, or at least loosely put under the header of psychic arts, which is definitely a topic of interest. Less so than when I was a kid, I was more interested in stuff like that, or in like ghost stories. And then my interests within the occult began to shift over time. Ghosts lose favor to maybe vampires and cooler like cryptozoological things, lake monsters. The psychic and clairvoyant stuff sort of falls out in favor of like the ritual magic, like demons and stuff. That's just me. But the psychic arts are still quite compelling. And at the very least, mental awareness, the ability to focus, be mindful of your surroundings, try to be mindful of your thoughts, and govern your life appropriately to some extent, is still very interesting, and it's still very occult. So this is a fairly good work, and it's longer-ish. I think it's like 90 pages. So it's fairly in-depth as far as works on clairvoyance go. So definitely highly recommended if you're interested in that sort of philosophical mindfulness techniques, psychic arts, anything sort of loosely associated with that, or in Rosicrucianism, because again, this is one of those apparent small offshoot orders about which I can't really find any other pertinent information. Again, link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books blogs. That's about all. Peace out.